Hello and welcome, where we make cooking easier, smarter, and more enjoyable for every home cook and aspiring chef. If you've ever looked at a wall of knives in a store and thought, do I really need all of these? You are definitely not alone. A lot of people think becoming better in the kitchen means buying more tools, more gadgets, and more expensive equipment. But when it comes to knives, the truth is a lot simpler. You do not need a giant knife block filled with 10 or 15 different blades to cook well. What you really need is a small group of reliable knives that match the kind of cooking you actually do. In today's video, we're going to talk about what knives every home cook or chef should have, what each knife is used for, and how to build a practical knife setup without wasting money. Whether you are just starting out in the kitchen or upgrading your tools, this guide will help you understand what really matters. Let's start with the most important knife of all. The first knife every home cook should own is a chef's knife. If you only buy one knife, make it this one. A chef's knife is the true workhorse of the kitchen. It can handle slicing, dicing, chopping, mincing, and even breaking down some proteins. It is the knife you will probably reach for most often because it is versatile enough to do the majority of your prep work. Most people do well with an 8-inch chef's knife because it offers a great balance between control and cutting power. It is long enough to handle bigger ingredients like cabbage, melons, or large onions, but still comfortable enough for everyday use. If you have smaller hands or want something lighter, a 6-inch version can also work. The key is choosing one that feels balanced and comfortable in your hand. Now, if the chef's knife is the king of the kitchen, the second essential is the paring knife. This is your small precision tool. A paring knife is perfect for jobs that require control rather than strength. Think peeling apples, trimming strawberries, dividing shrimp, slicing garlic, coring tomatoes, or doing detailed work where a big knife feels awkward. It is one of those knives that may look small, but it becomes incredibly useful once you start using it regularly. The third knife that many cooks should have is a serrated bread knife. Even if you do not bake bread often, a serrated knife is still extremely valuable. It is designed to cut through crusty bread without crushing a soft interior, but it also works beautifully on delicate ingredients with tough skins and soft centers. Tomatoes, citrus fruits, cakes, pastries, and even sandwiches are easier to cut cleanly with a good serrated blade. A lot of people underestimate how useful this knife is until they try slicing a ripe tomato with a dull straight-edge knife and end up squashing it. So, if you are building a smart, simple knife collection, those are the big three: a chef's knife, a paring knife, and a serrated bread knife. For most home cooks, these three knives are more than enough to handle almost everything in the kitchen. Now, if you cook more often or want to step up your setup, there are a few additional knives that can be helpful, but these are more optional than essential. One of those is a boning knife. A boning knife is useful if you regularly trim meat, remove bones from chicken, clean fish, or do butchery work at home. It is a narrower blade that gives you better control around joints, bones, and connective tissue. For chefs and serious home cooks who buy whole cuts of meat, this knife can save time and reduce waste. But if you mostly buy pre-cut meat or fillets, you may not need one right away. Another optional knife is a utility knife. Think of it as something between a chef's knife and a paring knife. It is handy for medium-sized tasks like slicing sandwiches, trimming vegetables, or cutting smaller fruits. Some people love utility knives, while others find that their chef's knife and paring knife already cover those jobs. So this one really comes down to personal preference. For chefs or people who do more protein prep, a slicing knife or carving knife can also be useful. This is the knife you use for clean, long slices on roast beef, turkey, brisket, salmon, or other large cooked proteins. It is not essential for everyday cooking, but for entertaining or more professional kitchen work, it can make a big difference in presentation. Now, let's talk about something important. You do not need a huge knife set. This is where many people spend much money. Knife blocks often look impressive, but many of the knives included are rarely used. Instead of buying 12 average knives, it is usually better to buy 3, or for really solid ones that you will use all the time. Quality matters much more than quantity. Also, having the right knives is only part of the story. A great knife still needs proper care. Even the most expensive blade becomes frustrating if it is dull. So if you want your knives to actually perform well, make sure you maintain them. That means using a honing rod regularly to keep the edge aligned and sharpening the blade when it starts to lose its bite. A sharp knife is not only more efficient, it is also safer because it cuts predictably instead of slipping. Another thing to remember is that the best knife is not always the most expensive one. Comfort, balance, grip, and control matter more than brand name alone. When choosing a knife, pay attention to how it feels in your hand. Does it feel too heavy? Too light? Does the handle feel secure? Can you rock it comfortably on a cutting board? Those details matter a lot more in everyday cooking than flashy marketing. So, what knives should every home cook or chef have? At the most basic level, every kitchen should have a chef's knife for most cutting and prep work, a paring knife for precision and small tasks, and a serrated bread knife for bread, tomatoes, pastries, and delicate slicing. Then, depending on how much you cook and what you like to prepare, you can consider adding a boning knife, a utility knife, or a slicing knife. The goal is not to own every knife. The goal is to own the right knives. A small, well-chosen knife collection can make cooking feel smoother, faster, and much more enjoyable. Whether you are prepping vegetables for dinner, carving a roast, or simply slicing fruit for breakfast, the right blade gives you confidence in the kitchen. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you understand which knives are actually worth having, make sure to like subscribe, and share this with someone who is building their kitchen setup. And remember, good cooking does not start with having everything. It starts with having the right essentials and knowing how to use them well. See you in the next video.